What if a 5-cent coin sitting in your old change jar could actually be worth much more than 5 cents? Before you spend that old Jefferson nickel, take a close look at the date, the mint mark, the condition, and especially the tiny details around Monticello. Today on Coin Study, we are looking at two interesting United States 5-cent coins from 1977 and 1978. These Jefferson nickels were produced in very large numbers, so most examples found in circulation are not rare. But certain high-grade pieces, especially coins with strong full steps on Monticello, can be dramatically more valuable to collectors. So if you have a 1977 or 1978 Jefferson nickel, don't throw it back into circulation just yet. Stay with me until the end because we are going to discuss realistic values for circulated examples, explain the important mint marks, and look at how exceptional uncirculated and full steps examples can reach surprisingly high auction prices. Welcome back to USAX Coin, the channel where we explore old American coins, their history, mint marks, condition, varieties, and collector values. If you enjoy discovering whether ordinary-looking coins could be worth more than their face value, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification bell. Let's begin with the 1977 Jefferson nickel. The 1977 Jefferson nickel is a modern United States 5-cent coin designed by Felix Schlag. Like other standard Jefferson nickels of this period, it measures approximately 21.2 millimeters across and weighs about 5 grams. The composition is 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin its familiar silvery appearance. Unlike the wartime Jefferson nickels from 1942 through 1945, the regular 1977 and 1978 nickels do not contain silver. On the obverse, you will see the portrait of Thomas Jefferson facing left. The inscriptions include Liberty, the date 1977, and the traditional mint mark area. On the reverse is Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, e pluribus unum, 5 cents, and Monticello. One of the most important things to understand is that not every 1977 nickel has a mint mark. A 1977 nickel without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. According to PCGS, Philadelphia produced 585,376,000 regular 1977 Jefferson nickels. The Denver Mint produced another 297,313,422 pieces bearing the D mint mark. PCGS. That means these coins are not automatically rare simply because they are from 1977. However, there is an important collector factor that makes this date much more interesting: strike quality. Many 1977 Jefferson nickels were not struck with exceptional detail. PCGS notes that even examples around the MS-65 level can be difficult to find, while MS-66 examples are considerably scarcer. Full steps examples are particularly difficult because the steps at the base of Monticello often become weak or interrupted during striking. PCGS. This is where the difference between a normal old nickel and a truly collectible nickel becomes very important. But now imagine finding a 1977 nickel that somehow avoided circulation. The surfaces are bright, the details are sharp, and the steps underneath Monticello are completely defined. Suddenly, you may have something much more interesting. The term full steps, often abbreviated FS, refers to the clearly separated steps at the entrance of Monticello. Collectors and grading services pay close attention to these details because they can indicate an unusually strong strike. And this can create a huge difference in value. For example, a normal 1977 D Jefferson nickel is common enough that circulated examples generally do not carry a significant premium. But high-grade full steps examples can be extremely valuable. Gainesville Coins reports an auction record of $4,320 for a 1977 D Jefferson nickel graded MS-67 full steps. Gainesville Coins. That is an enormous difference from 5 cents. But don't make the mistake of assuming that every 1977 D nickel is worth thousands of dollars. It isn't. The coin must meet very demanding standards for grade and preservation, and full steps designation is a major part of the premium. A circulated coin with scratches, staining, contact marks, or worn steps should not be compared with an MS-67 full steps example. PCGS also lists a $247 auction record for a 1977D regular strike nickel in MS-67, showing how dramatically the grade and designation can affect the market. PCGS. Now let's move to 1978. The 1978 Jefferson nickel looks very similar to the 1977 issue, but the date is different and the production numbers were also substantial. The Philadelphia Mint produced 391,308,000 regular 1978 nickels, while Denver produced 313,092,780 examples with the D Mint mark. Namista. Again, these production numbers tell us that the normal 1978 nickel is not a scarce coin. If you have a circulated 1978 Jefferson nickel, you should first examine the overall condition. Look at Jefferson's portrait, the lettering, the rim, and especially Monticello. Heavy circulation will usually leave the coin worth only its face value. The 1978 nickel is another great example of why date alone does not determine value. A coin can be more than 40 years old and still be common. Age is only one factor. Condition is another. Mint mark is another. And for Jefferson nickels, strike quality can be incredibly important. The 1978 nickel without a mint mark came from Philadelphia. AD indicates Denver. There were also proof nickels produced at San Francisco, but those are a different category from ordinary circulation strikes. If your coin has an S mint mark and appears specially struck with mirror-like surfaces, you may be looking at a proof rather than a normal circulation coin. For a normal circulated 1978 nickel, don't expect a fortune. Current reference information places circulated examples generally around face value. Gainesville Coins lists circulated 1978 Jefferson nickels at face value and notes that even a normal MS-65 example is generally worth less than $10. Gainesville Coins. But again, full steps can completely change the picture. Gainesville Coins reports an auction record of $16,000 for a 1978 Jefferson nickel graded MS-67 full steps. Gainesville Coins. That sounds unbelievable when you compare it with the 5-cent face value, but this is exactly why collectors study condition and strike quality rather than simply looking at the date. The PCGS price guide also shows a substantial premium for full steps examples of these dates compared with normal mint state coins. For 1978, the guide shows significantly higher values for full steps coins as grades rise. PCGS. So what should you do if you have one? First, don't clean it. This is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. If you find an old Jefferson nickel, never polish it with metal cleaner, toothpaste, chemicals, or abrasive material just because you want it to look shiny. Cleaning can damage the original surface and reduce collector interest. Instead, hold the coin carefully by its edges. Use good lighting. Look at the date. Look for the mint mark. Then inspect Monticello. The steps are particularly important. If the coin has been heavily circulated, the steps will usually show wear. You may see scratches, flattening, discoloration, and contact marks. That is normal for a coin that has spent years moving through commerce. But if you have a very sharp example with minimal marks and strong detail, you may want to have it examined more closely. Another important point is that a mint mark does not automatically make a coin rare. For 1977, the D mint mark identifies Denver, but nearly 300 million regular examples were produced there. For 1978, more than 313 million D mint nickels were produced. PCGS. Therefore, don't believe claims that simply having a D means your coin is worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. The real premium comes from rarity, grade, strike quality, varieties, and collector demand. Now let's talk about realistic circulated values. For an ordinary 1977 Philadelphia nickel in circulated fine condition, you are generally looking at approximately 5 cents, with only modest premiums possible depending on the exact coin and buyer. A circulated 1977D is similarly common and generally remains around face value. Current reference information also shows circulated 1977 and 1977D examples near face value. Nemista. For a circulated 1978 Philadelphia or Denver nickel, the situation is much the same. In fine, very fine, or extremely fine condition, a normal example is generally worth around 5 cents rather than hundreds of dollars. Gainesville coins. So if your coin is circulated, scratched, and worn, don't be disappointed. The real treasure hunt is finding an exceptional example. For the most valuable pieces, you need to move away from the idea of old coin equals expensive coin and start thinking like a collector. A high-grade 1977 or 1978 nickel with full steps can be far more interesting than an older coin with heavy damage. This is why two coins with exactly the same date can have completely different values. One could be worth 5 cents. Another could be worth a few dollars. And an exceptionally rare, high-grade full steps example can potentially sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. The auction records prove that these extraordinary coins exist. But auction records represent exceptional coins and should never be used as the expected value for an ordinary circulated specimen. The $4,320 1977D full steps record and $16,000 1978 full steps record are examples of the upper end of the market, not normal prices for circulated coins. Gainesville coins. So, what is your 1977 or 1978 Jefferson nickel worth today? If it is a normal circulated example in fine condition, the realistic value is usually around its 5-cent face value. If it is a nicer uncirculated coin, the value can rise into the dollar range and beyond depending on grade. If it is professionally graded in a high mint state grade, the value can become much more significant. And if it has exceptional full steps detail and reaches an elite grade, the value can potentially become hundreds, thousands, or in extraordinary cases even much more. For example, PCGS reports an auction record of $1,725 for a 1977 Philadelphia nickel in MS63, while the 1977D regular strike record is $247 in MS67. PCGS. These numbers demonstrate why condition matters so much. Before we finish, take another look at your collection. Do you have a 1977 nickel? Does it have a D mint mark? Or is there no mint mark? What about 1978? And most importantly, can you clearly see the steps on Monticello? If you find one with unusually sharp steps, minimal marks, and brilliant original surfaces, don't spend it until you know exactly what you have. Remember, a coin's value depends on its actual condition, authenticity, variety, strike quality, and the market at the time it is sold. Auction records can change, and extraordinary prices should never be treated as guaranteed values. If you enjoyed this coin hunt, subscribe to Coin Study, like the video, share it with another coin collector, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next discovery. And now I have a question for you. Have you ever found a 1977 or 1978 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark or unusually sharp full steps on Monticello? Tell me the date, mint mark, and condition of your coin in the comments. Your ordinary 5-cent coin might not be worth a fortune, but you never know what you might discover when you look closely.